Informed, outspoken, wild, fearless. This is the Fantasy Football Dudes Podcast.
What is up, my dudes? This is Trent with the Fantasy Football Dudes Podcast. Today, I am going to go over all of my Week 8 waivers. Just a quick question, what's our thoughts on Brock Purdy being a system quarterback? I know I got a lot of 49er listeners out there. This is not good, guys. We all panicked when Dallas lost to the 49ers, and I think the 49ers are a good team. I'm not quite sure what's going on in San Francisco. This team is stacked. Now, Brock Purdy has not had – they should have beat the Browns. Brock Purdy got them in position to win that game. He had a costly interception tonight on Monday Night Football, but losing to primetime Kirk Cousins, that's kind of a big deal. Jordan Addison, he's a grown man. He's on pace to break – what is it? Is he on pace to break the single-season rookie wide receiver touchdown record? He's on pace to break that record by Justin Jefferson, I saw, if my sources are right on Twitter, which very well should be right. But yeah, 49er fans, I feel like it's panic button right now. I can't say I don't love this. I know everyone thinks I'm a 49ers fan just because I think they're a good football team, but as a Cowboys fan, all the disrespect I got, and hey, rightfully so. This is a sport. When you spank another team, this is what you do, but 49ers have not looked that dominant since they beat Dallas, and a lot of people still had them as the best team in football. After this loss in Minnesota to the Vikings, I think I'll be feeling pretty bad. I don't think it's a time for change at quarterback, but Brock Purdy's first back-to-back losses in his career. I'm curious to see how he does with his first, adversity here, see how he bounces back. But he's gone back. He only had 12 fantasy points tonight in Sanders scoring. Not great. Okay. So if you're a Brock Purdy owner that you thought maybe this was, he was a late round QB he's been doing okay for you right now. I got a list of quarterbacks for you on today's episode. I have all my favorite Week 3 waiver wire ads. And if you want all my waiver wire ads, you're going to have to go to www.thefantasyfootballddudes.com, sign up for our dudes letter, and it'll be sent to your inbox first thing midnight, Tuesday morning at midnight. I have 20 waiver ads in there. You're only going to get 12 here on YouTube and on the podcast at tffdudes on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Wherever you listen to podcasts, remember, don't be rude, share the dudes. But let's get into this thing, guys. So waiver day, it's a fantasy owner's weekly hope. It gives us that sense of need, the hope of we can do this, the potential, hoping you score on that, big waiver ad. It's really a sacred occasion in the realm of fantasy football, eagerly anticipated by us all week after week. It's like that yard sale. You get out of your car, you really don't expect to get anything, but sometimes you walk away with something really cool. And maybe it's something, you got a washing machine, you think it works, it doesn't work, or a TV or whatever. You never know what you're going to get on these waivers. Sometimes we can make good guesses where it's a lock, but a lot of times we really don't know. And sometimes it's a diamond in the rough. We all wish we would have spent all our fab on Puka in week 1. We didn't. Pretty much everyone I know left a little too much meat on the bone there. Wish we would have went all in on that. So yeah, you gotta, I don't know if it's a gut call, what it is, but you got to know when to get these guys. And it's like I said, it's like an estate sale. Like it's that late season. It's just that you're looking for those hidden gems to boost our late season campaign, or might even be time to let go of that lucky pair of underwear that, you've just had way too long. And if you have had that pair of underwear way too long, guys, you need to go over to Manscaped, the dude's favorite place for men's hygiene product, guys. So I'm talking about stashes right now. And when I think of stashing, I think of my go bag from Manscaped. I keep that in my gym bag. It's kind of like a shower survival kit. The bag of formulations which have you looking, feeling your best in a pinch. This travel-friendly kit includes TSA-approved sizes so you can confidently say, "Where's the bathroom?" in any language. Check Manscaped out for your dude grooming needs. Promo code DUDES20 for 20% off your whole entire order, guys. Again, go over to Manscaped. Tell them the dude sent you. Promo code DUDES20. Just like that. So, guys, Every Tuesday night, we go to bed hoping for that potential game changer will be added to our team. This past morning, Sunday morning, I was drinking my coffee, decided to fine tune my fantasy lineup like I do every fantasy morning. I decided it was time to bid farewell to my good buddy, Gus Edwards. In his place, I welcomed Royce Freeman onto my team. A gamble that did not pay off. But let me confess, dropping Gus Edwards wasn't the most heart-wrenching part of this past weekend. You see, I'd been away on a work trip, managing my team from afar. And during this remote stint, I had a terrible thing happen. My AirPods that I use all the time were no longer nestled safely in my pocket. As panic struck in, I realized they were stranded in my hotel room 4 hours away. Hilton Lost and Found told me no AirPods have been found. To this day, I call every day. Even though I can pinpoint the location, the 8th floor, room 218, my AirPods have still not showed up. And I'm hoping that they still will show up. There's still time. I also hope to get Gus Edwards back on my roster, but this is just a reminder, always check who was dropped on your waiver wire. Just like yard sales, sometimes people let go of things too soon. So here's to getting better, my dudes, one waiver at a time. So guys, here we go. We're getting into waivers here right now. And as always, below all my favorite week 8 waiver wire options with roster percentages under 68% on Sleeper. Rankings are half point PPR with the help of PFF, and all rankings were done before Monday Night Football. We have no teams on bye this week. All right. And I said, quarterbacks, I got Gardner Minshew. 13% rostered, had a total of 4 TDs this past week. Although I don't see him repeating this performance, you can't ignore what he did to one of the top defenses in the leagues, guys. This was against the Browns, the same Browns that beat the 49ers 2 weeks ago. Maybe they kind of took a game off, sometimes from game to game, and even with the Deshaun Watson injury. But Gardner Minshew balled out, and we can't ignore that. And maybe if you have Brock Purdy, maybe you want to go with Gardner Minshew. I'm not sure what exactly to think of Gardner Minshew. I do love watching him play. He's a gunslinger, and he's a lot of fun. He's great for the sport. Number 2 on my list, this one's ugly. And honestly, this one hurts to say this. But I have Russell Wilson as my number 2 quarterback waiver wire ad of the week, guys. It's hard to believe, but he's quarterback 8 on the season, and he will be in a shootout this week with the Chiefs. So I think Russell Wilson's actually not a bad play. 49% rostered on Sleeper. And next on my list, I have CJ Stroud, 68% rostered. Good chance he got dropped in your league due to his bye week last week. Takes on the number one overall draft pick, Bryce Young and the Panthers this week. Not a bad spot for good old CJ Stroud. Hard to hold quarterbacks on bye weeks, I understand. So check that waiver wire. Again, my quarterbacks, I had Gardner Minshew, 13% rostered, Russell Wilson, 49% rostered, and CJ Stroud, 68% rostered. And like I said, all these roster percentages are brought to you by our friends over at Sleeper, the dude's favorite place to play fantasy football. I have been a fan of Sleeper for many years, probably about 8 years I've been doing my leagues on Sleeper. You need to take your league over there, take it to the next level, switch it over to Sleeper. You won't be sorry, I promise. They also have some fun, plays you can do, enter some cash, some moolah, some of that, whatever you're into, and do some plays. You can do how many passing yards will CJ Stroud get? How many rushing yards will Bijan Robinson get? So there's all kinds of plays. You take the over, you take the under, a lot of fun, and they will match you up to $100. All you have to do, guys, is enter promo code DUDES100. So again, DUDES100, they'll match you up to $100, guys. So go ahead, go over Sleeper, switch your whole league over there. Don't just do the DFS stuff. Sleeper is the best place for fantasy football. I can't say that enough. Been fans of him forever. Next, we're going over to running backs. And like I said, I have more stuff on here. I have a stash quarterback play that I'm not going to give you that's in the email. But next, I'm going to give you 3 running backs. I have 8 running backs on this list on the email. Again, go sign up for that at www.thefantasyfootballdudes.com. First on my running back ads, I have Chuba Hubbard, formerly known as Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard's cupboard has a chance to lead the Panthers backfield this week versus the Texans. Miles Sanders is recovering from a shoulder injury. those tend to linger for running backs. I don't know if I see Miles Sanders, being 100% this week. And at the very least, this is a committee for Chuba Hubbard. Next on the list, I have Deonta Foreman, 63% rostered, filling in for the injured Roschon Johnson and Khalil Herbert. He is making the most out of this situation so far. If he keeps this up, keeping him off the field is going to be very difficult for the Bears to do. Still think this could be him just taking advantage of a very bad, hopeless, pathetic, sad, terrible Pop Warner Raiders defense. Sorry for all those things. Sorry for all the listeners I offended. Next on the list, my guy, Gus Edwards, 57% rostered, had 14 of the team's 18 handoffs, but only played 50% of the snaps. I'm not super excited about this backfield still. I'm just trying not to beat myself up for dropping him. Feels like this could be a hot hand approach that will also compete with Lamar Jackson's rushing ability. Justice Hill also played the other 50% snaps. All right, like I said, I got a couple more waiver ads on there, stashes, handcuffs that you won't want to miss. Go sign up for those on the email at www.thefantasyfootballdudes.com or go over to our website that I just mentioned. Go over to our post, check it out. They're there also. If you don't want to go on the email, you can go check that out also. Link will be in the show notes in the description. And remember, guys, if you're enjoying this episode, go ahead and give us the thumbs up. Really helps us out. Right there, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell. All that good stuff. And remember, don't be rude. Share the dudes. It really helps us out, guys. Keep checking those waivers, guys. See who gets dropped. People do regretful things. Wide receivers, one of my favorite ads of actually, let me recap all those running backs for you. Sorry, getting a little ahead of myself. I have images on YouTube, guys, if you're listening on podcasts. Chuba Hubbard, 61% rostered. Deonta Foreman, 63% rostered. Gus Edwards, 57% rostered. All right, next on my list, got a little ahead of myself. I'm going to throw this over to the wide receivers. My favorite waiver ad of the week, Josh Downs, 52% rostered, absolutely exploded this week, has 3 straight double-digit games. If this was NBA Jam, he would be on fire. El Fuego, back-to-back games with a touchdown. Tough matchup this week versus the Saints, but I'm still playing Downs. I'm doubling down on Downs. Not like the 49ers fans being down bad. Josh Downs, add him, play him, 52% rostered. Next on the list, I have Kendrick Bourne, 39% rostered, finally scored this past week. He is turning into a target hog. Just getting targets. He's earned those targets. Targets are earned, guys. And hey, Mac Jones, he's not on my list. He should probably be on my list. I need to see a little bit more before I want to play him, but go check your roster for Mac Jones. You go check your waivers. Had a pretty good game. I want to see a little bit more. Gardner Minshew has more of that gunslinger mentality where I feel like putting him on this list. Mac Jones, I need to see a little bit more out of him. But Kendrick Bourne looks really good. He's putting a streak of good games together. Next on the list, I have Rashee Rice, 66% rostered. He's still touchdown dependent, but looks like he could be the Chiefs' number 1 wide receiver, not number 1 pass catcher. That is Travis Kelce still, but Rashee Rice, go check your waiver wire for him. Looks to be getting Mahomes' trust every single week. A little bit more. Would like to see a little more targets, a little more receptions, but looking like the number 1 wide receiver there. Recapping the list, I have Josh Downs, 52% rostered, Kendrick Bourne, 39% rostered, and Rashee Rice, 66% rostered, guys. All right, what else do we got here on the list? Coming up, hey, it's not too late. We still got a couple waiver wire ads to handle here. But do you have a fantasy football trophy for your league yet? If you don't, Trophy Smack is the absolute best place to go. Go to www.trophysmack.com/dudes, 15% off your whole entire order, guys. They got sweet belts. You can totally customize the belt. Separate your league from all the other leagues. Trophy Smack's the best place to get your trophy. Get those last place participation ribbons, the toilet seat with the dude's picture, not this dude's picture, the dude who gets last place in your league. Go to Trophy Smack /dudes, 15% off. You will not be sorry. I promise. All right. Tight ends. Always my favorite position to talk about on here. I love waivers. Waivers are a lot of fun. I enjoy the strategy, looking at all this stuff, looking at the numbers. And Sleeper puts all those numbers so easy, snap percentages, depth charts, all the good stuff. Go over to Sleeper, guys. Like I told you, it's a really great place. Tight ends, Dalton Kincaid, 41% rostered, led the Bills in targets and receiving yards in Sunday's loss versus the Patriots. The first round pick could finally be breaking out. Also, Dawson Knox is having wrist surgery. Dalton Kincaid could explode, okay? Add Dalton Kincaid. Looks really good. They spent a lot of draft capital on this guy. First round pick for a tight end. Very excited about Dalton Kincaid. 41% rostered. This guy has tight end one potential all around him. He could very easily finish, within that top 5 tight ends right there. All right, number 2 on the list, I have Dalton Schultz, 57% rostered. Back-to-back games with TDs. His team was on a bye this past week, and he is tight end 9 on the season. Only 25-point separation from tight end 9 and tight end 3. Dalton Schultz is worth the ad and worth the play. Next on the list, this guy has the most upside for a tight end. Maybe the lowest 4, but it seems like he's very, very involved. Taysom Hill is 13% rostered, had his first touchdown this week, coming on a goal line rush from a tight end. Taysom has intriguing upside, being a tight end that lines up under center, caught 4 of 5 targets, and had 5 carries for 18 yards. It's his second straight week being on this list. Tight end 15 on the season. He was tight end 5 on the week. He is 13% rostered, guys. So go over there, check your waivers for those tight ends. And again, to read all of those tight ends' names, I had Dalton Kincaid rostered 41%, Dalton Schultz 57% rostered, and Taysom Hill 13% rostered. Guys, it's always fun. I will see you on Thursday. We have our week 8 matchup and preview, starts and sits. Hey, the dudes are coming back. We had a bad week last week. Don't give up on us. You haven't heard the last of us. They're just getting started. So yeah, guys, remember, don't be rude. Share the dudes. Really helps us out. We will see you next time. And as always, take care.
This has been another episode of the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast. Remember to rate, review, and follow. For more information, go to www.thefantasyfootballdudes.com. And remember, we are sorry for absolutely nothing.